Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's February 1st, 2026, and we are going to read from Genesis chapter 33 and Mark chapter 4 today. All right, so Genesis 33, Jacob finally returns home to Esau, or as close as he gets anyway. And he comes up with this scheme of sending out flocks as gifts to Esau to try and appease whatever anger Esau still might be feeling. When we finally get the meeting, we see that Esau, there is no hard feelings on Esau's part, at least not at that time. Now, we don't get a full reconciliation, as we're going to see as we continue throughout our Old Testament. There's always animosity between Edom's descendants and Jacob's descendants. But here in this moment, we see restoration. Let's go ahead, we're going to read Genesis 33 together. Now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and there Esau was coming, and with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. So we're seeing how he orders his family. His most important one is the one in the back. Then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw the women and children and said, "Who are these with you?" So he said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the maidservants came near, they and their children, and bowed down. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed down. Afterward Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed down. Then Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" And he said, "These are to find favor in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob said, "No, please, if I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face, as though I have seen the face of God, and you are pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." So he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, "Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before you." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard, one day all the flock will die. Please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at a pace which the livestock that go before me and the children are able to endure, until I come to my Lord in Seir." And Esau said, "Now let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, "What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. Then Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Paddan Aram. And he pitched his tent before the city, and he bought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. Then he erected an altar there and called it El Elohi Israel. So this is the second piece of property in Canaan that the descendants of Abraham own. But it's still not the promise. Let's move over to Mark chapter 4. Jesus is going to start giving us parables. Now, what are parables? Parables are stories. They're teaching stories. So we're not supposed to see that they are true stories or that these are things that actually happen. These are carefully constructed stories to reveal a teaching point. Jesus isn't the only one who uses parables. Most of the rabbis in the first century would have used them, so the people understand what's happening. They understand that there's usually a basic truth to them, and that's not the point of the story. It's that little deeper story. Now with Jesus, that deeper story is the kingdom story. And then there's even a deeper one, which is the future story. We're going to see that here in this first parable. Let's go ahead and read Mark chapter 4. And again he began to teach by the sea. And a great multitude was gathered to him, so that he got into a boat, and he sat in it on the sea, and the whole multitude was on the land facing the sea. So this is like a hill shaped like a orchestra hall. So he's at the bottom, and he's looking up at this parabolic hill, so his voice is carrying. So it's like an amphitheater, a natural amphitheater. And that's all over this region. So he took advantage of those every time he got them. Let's pick it up at verse 2. Then he taught them many things by parables, and he said to them in his teaching, Listen, behold, a sower went out to sow, and it happened as he sowed that some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds of the air came and devoured it. Some fell on stony ground where it did not have much earth, and immediately it sprang up because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no crop. But other seed fell on good ground, and yielded a crop that sprang up, increased, and produced, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. Then he said to them, He who has ears to hear, let him hear. But when he was alone, those around him with the 12 asked him about the parable. And he said to them, To you it has been given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but to those who are outside all things come in parables, so that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest they should turn and their sins be forgiven them. So he's saying, look, for the ordinary people, that was just a story about farming, that they would understand. But for you, there's a deeper meaning, and he's going to tell us what that is. And why is that? Because these unsaved people who are not going to respond, they don't get the message. It's not for them. They're not going to respond to it anyway. The message that Jesus is conveying to his disciples, that's the important message. When God has given you the understanding, you understand what Jesus is saying. God gives us the understanding. Verse 13, and he said to them, Do you not understand this parable? How then will you understand all the parables? So Mark says this is the most important parable. You got to if you don't understand how this one is working, then you don't understand how any of the parables work. So this is one to study and make sure you see how it works, how the story is constructed, how it's got the different levels of meaning to it. And Jesus is going to explain it to us, which he starts in verse 14. The sower sows the word, and these are the ones by the wayside where the word is sown. When they hear, Satan comes immediately and takes away the word that was sown in their hearts. These likewise are the ones sown on stony ground, who, when they hear the word, immediately receive it with gladness. And they have no root in themselves, and so endure only for a time. Afterward, when tribulation or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they stumble. Now these are the ones sown among thorns. They are the ones who hear the word, and the cares of this world, the deceitfulness of riches, and the desires for other things entering in choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. But these are the ones sown on good ground, those who hear the word, accept it, and bear fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. Also he said to them, Is a lamp brought to be put under a basket or under a bed? Is it not to be set on a lampstand? For there is nothing hidden which will not be revealed, nor has anything been kept secret, but that it should come to light. If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear. Then he said to them, Take heed what you hear. With the same measure you use, it will be measured to you. And to you who hear, more will be given. For whoever has, to him more will be given, but whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. And he said, The kingdom of God is as if a man should scatter seed on the ground, and should sleep by night and rise by day, and the seed should sprout and grow. He himself does not know how, for the earth yields crops by itself, first the blade, then the head, after that the full grain in the head. But when the grain ripens, immediately puts in the sickle, because the harvest has come. Now, scientifically, we understand how that happens. But for the purpose of this parable, we just want to see, hey, you know what? God is what's making it happen. He's not making the blade sprout. He's not making it grow. He doesn't make it blossom. He just plants it. God takes care of it until it's time for the harvest. Verse 30, Then he said, To what shall we liken the kingdom of God? Or with what parable shall we picture it? It is like a mustard seed, which when it is sown in the ground is smaller than all the seeds on earth. Now it isn't really, but it's the small seed that they would have known about. But when it is sown, it grows up and becomes greater than all herbs, and shoots out large branches, so that the birds of the air may nest under its shade. Let me pause this for a second. All right, the squirrel has been vanquished. Let's continue with verse 33. Well, apparently it's back. Okay, Squirrelmageddon is over. Let's pick it back up at verse 33. And with many such parables he spoke the word to them as they were able to hear it. But without a parable he did not speak to them, And when they were alone, he explained all things to his disciples. On the same day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." Now when they had left the multitude, they took him along in the boat as he was, and other little boats were also with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that it was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on a pillow. And they awoke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" Then he arose, and he rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But he said to them, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" And they feared exceedingly, and said to one another, "Who can this be, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" He can command demons, sicknesses, and now nature itself. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.